Hi everyone, today I'll show you how to build these Arduino based smart glasses. They can be controlled via an app on the smartphone where, after connecting the smart glasses, the watch face can be chosen between 3 different ones. On the watch face you can see the time, the day of the week, and if you enable the messages you want to see from the app, you can view the number of notifications you have in this little icon right here. First of all, I took a small 3.7 volts 45 mAh battery and a switch. Then I soldered 4 wires onto the battery, 2 of which are for charging and the other 2 are for powering the Arduino. I put some electrical tape around the battery to avoid any kind of short circuit. And I connected the positive wire to the switch. I took the small display to which I cut the ends a bit to make it fit properly into the housing, and I soldered some wires onto it. Then I took the Bluetooth module, on which, as you can see in the video, I previously soldered the 2 resistors needed to make it work correctly. After connecting all the wires needed to the Bluetooth module, I attached the positive wire coming from the battery to the 5V pin on the Bluetooth module and the negative to the ground. Now, if we give power to the Bluetooth module, we should see the small LED on it turned on. And then I put the small display in the housing. Be careful when doing this, because as you can see in the video, I broke a corner of the screen by putting it in the housing. Then I soldered everything together, following the circuit diagram that I linked in the description below, as well as the link of all the components and the 3D files that I used to build this project. Wait a minute, I want to explain something that may not be clear. You have to connect the positive wire coming from the battery directly to the 5V pin on the Arduino, and not to the VIN pin, because the Arduino is normally powered between 7 and 12 volts, and then transfer the current between 1.8 and 5 volts. By directly connecting the battery to the 5V pin on the Arduino, you bypass the transformer that transfers the current between 5 and 1.8 volts, and therefore you have a sufficient amount of current to make everything work correctly, while otherwise the current will be too low and the screen wouldn't turn on. So, with that said, let's continue with the video. Then I took the main 3D printed part, which I previously bent a bit with a lighter to fit the shape of my head, and I put all the electronics into it. I took a small nail and I connected the display housing and the main part with it. Before permanently closing the electronics inside the housing, I connected the Arduino to the computer to load the necessary code to make everything work correctly. First of all, I went to Google and I searched Arduino Retro Watch GitHub. I clicked on the first link and I downloaded all the files. I saved the folder on my desktop and then I opened it up. I opened the Retro Watch Arduino on a button file. Then, to make the code work, I went back into the Retro Watch Arduino on a button folder. I copied the bitmap.h file. I went in the folder where the Arduino ID is stored. I clicked on the hardware folder and I created another folder called libraries into it. I opened it and I created another folder called Retro Watch. I opened it up and I copied the bitmap.h file into it. I installed the 2 needed libraries, the Adafruit SSD1306 and the Adafruit GFX libraries. I checked if the code was right, but as you can see, an error appeared, saying that the screen height was incorrect. So I went to the Documents folder, then I opened the Arduino one, and then the Libraries one. Then I entered in the Adafruit SSD 1306 folder and I opened the .h file in Visual Studio. I scrolled down to line 29, I added 2 slashes in front of the word define, and I deleted the 2 in line 28. I obviously saved the code and I closed Visual Studio. I came back in the Arduino file and I checked if the code was correct another time. But as you can see in the video, another error appears. So I added the word const in front of a bitmap array. Then I came back in the main code. I scrolled down to these 2 lines and I added the word const in front of weak string and ampm string. I checked again if the code was correct and this time no error appears. So I upload it on the smart glasses. As you can see in the video, it all works properly, but there is a small problem. In fact, if we attach this small piece of plastic that should work like a mirror and reflect the image in our eye, the image is inverted in the y-axis. So, after a bit of researching on the internet, I came up with this solution. I came back in the Adafruit SSD 1306 folder, and I opened again the .h file in Visual Studio. I scrolled down to the line 86 and I inverted these 2 words as you can see in the video. After saving the library code, I went back in the Arduino file and I uploaded once again the code to the smart glasses. But as you can see in the video, now the text is flipped on the z-axis. In order to fix this issue, I decided to print another display housing that allows the screen to be flipped upside down. Now the image on the screen is flipped on the y-axis, but if you look at the image reflected by the piece of plastic, we can see that it's facing the right way. To finish everything up, I glued this 3D printed part in place to cover all the electronics. The last thing left to do is to attach them to a pair of sunglasses, and they're done.